Hello, welcome to this week's How's the Market, Pensacola. Well, inventory is getting scary low. Scary low. Wait till you see what I just spotted in Escambia County. It's crazy low, and there's some people asking how come we got such low inventory. I'm going to talk about that in just a second, but I wanted to tell you guys, I kept getting all these emails and phone calls going, hey, Shane, your show's not showing up. I'm not getting the premiere stuff like I get every week. And so I had to dig in, and it looks like the past 6 or 7 episodes, it looks like December 1st, YouTube wound up making a change. And if the video is about real estate, there's an extra button you got to hit. All right, because I'm not selling credit stuff, because I talk as a professional on here. There's times that they think I'm going against their housing policy because they say, hey, you're discriminating because you talk about credit scores. I do talk about credit scores. I'm not discriminating against anybody. But there was an extra button, and I hadn't hit that button. So now you can go back and see the rest of them, but that's why you hadn't been seeing those. Apparently, I did not know about that YouTube change, and I forgot to click that button. But now we're going to know the button, so you should be back on track. Anyways, we have got inventory problems, and part of the reason we have the inventory problems, like I said last week, is you've got a buyer demand that is en fuego. It is huge. I have got more people calling me about buying. I mean, there's literally probably a 5 or 6 to 1 ratio of people calling me to buy than there is to sell right now. All right, I've got 2 new listings I'm taking this week. And as I'm shooting this, it's only Tuesday morning. So I've already got 2 new listings coming on this week that we've talked through and we're getting to work through. But out of that, I still have, I want to say 10 or 11 new buyers that called me over the weekend wanting to buy some stuff. But it's very, very tough out there. And I'm going to show you these numbers here in a minute. Part of the reason, that's part of the reason, is that we've got a buyer demand that is just huge. The other part of the reason is that builder pullback. This is still left over from 2010, 2009. When we had that crash, the builders pulled way back because prices were depreciating, right? So the builders pulled way back, and I'll put a graph up here to show you that now we are way behind. So although they're trying to build, you have things like lumber hikes and shortages of employees and, you know, everything that we've dealt with for the past 2 years, plus trying to make up for that bubble that we caused with the lack of building in 2009, 10, 11, 12. They didn't build anywhere near enough, yet your demand has remained steady. That's part of the other reason that we have got low inventory. So there's your 2 reasons for that. Now, what does that do for sellers and buyers? Well, sellers are getting max dollars right now. Buyers, out of all those buyers that called me, their biggest concern was, hey, are we in a bubble? There is nothing that points to a bubble here in the Panhandle, like the next 5 years. Do I see any? There is no data that I spot that points to any depreciation of real estate over the next 5 years in our area. I have seen where people say, hey, it's going to slow. And I've said that a couple of times last year. You're right. We may come out of the double-digit appreciations, which we should. But I don't see anything that says depreciation. So buyers are still fine. So much so that I'm literally closing on my next rental property Friday. So I'm not just saying this, I'm continually buying myself, if that makes sense. Hopefully that helps you understand. Look, I'm putting my money where my mouth is. I had a client call me up and said, hey, I think I may want to list this property, and asked him what he wanted for it. And I said, how about I just give that to you? I mean, the guys have done 7 or 8 deals, and I needed to add a new rental, and he's wanting to kind of downsize his rental. So it made sense for all parties involved. I didn't even argue with him about the price. I was like, yeah, sure. That works for me. So I'm putting money where my mouth is and saying, hey, I'm buying real estate at these levels because it's continuing to grow. Not grind, that's me. I'm continuing to grind. But it's continuing to grow. And I think as long as when you start talking about investment properties, as long as your cash flow is there, it really doesn't matter. Some of my best investors actually were upside down in some of their rentals in 2009 and 10. They didn't care. They were still cash flowing a couple $100 a month. And if you've seen the way the rents have gone up, rents in our area have gone up almost as much as the value of the homes have gone up. I mean, I'll give you an example. I bought a property 6 years ago, 7 years ago. And when I bought it, we were getting $750 a month renting the property. I didn't pay but $60,000 or $70,000 for it, so it wasn't much. Now that property's worth $165,000, $175,000 easy, and you can get $1,450 to $1,500 for it. So it's doubled in 5 or 6 years. That's considered a 12% rate of return if you use compound interest. But that's a whole nother story. I'm not even going to go into that before we got to get into numbers here. But that's a great rate of return just on the appreciation of rent. I'm not even talking about the cash flow that we have plus the appreciation of the house. So match that against some of your 401k the last couple of years, and I promise you it probably did much, much better. But, real estate should be in everybody's portfolio. I've always said that. I think that it shouldn't be your only. Even the real estate guy here saying it shouldn't be your only. You should have some paper assets, and you should understand those type of asset classes. But I definitely think real estate should be a bedrock of anybody's portfolio. So, soapbox. I'm going to step off the soapbox now. Let's get to numbers. Let's go. All right, if you've never seen the show, you don't know that I always start with this slide right here. It says if you have between 6 and 7 months worth of inventory, you have what's called a neutral market. Anything greater than 7 months considered a buyer's market. Anything less than 6 months considered a seller's market. What the slide doesn't say. Anything greater than 9 months considered a hyper buyer's market. Anything less than 3 is considered a hyper seller's market. We jump over to Escambia County, and just like last week, everything is a hyper seller's. And look at this. We are under 400. So we had like 50 properties come off the market. Because this was 440 something last week, if I remember. But we're under 400 now. That's the first time I've seen Escambia County under 400 in a long time. So that's what made me nervous. That's what I was bringing up at the beginning of the show. We are under 400 and everything is a hyper seller's market. You have to get to $450,000 just to get to 2 months inventory. Everything else is 1 month or under. Even though we have some properties. So you come up to me and said, hey, Shane, just got a pre-approval for $180,000. Okay, well, there's 39 active properties, but that's only half a month's inventory because the demand is just there. There's not much there, all right? I've got 2 offers in on properties at this particular price point right now, and I guess we'll find out today if we got them. That's Escambia County. Let's jump over to Santa Rosa real quick. Same thing. We're down to 216. If this trend continues, we'll be under 200 in Santa Rosa County by next week. So it takes you, well, look at this. Look at this. The only thing that is under 2 months or over 2 months inventory is the luxury, 700,000 plus. Everything else is under a month's inventory, with the exception of 350 to 400,000. That's a builder price point. That's at 1.2 months inventory. Besides that, nothing. Everything is under. So as sellers, people calling me now, I got this question. Hey, is it a good time to sell? I have told people before in the past, no. Now, I absolutely, yes. Yes, you can maximize some profits. We've got a client right now I was working with. It was a young VA couple, a military couple that came to me late 2018, early 2019. And she flat out told me, she said, I don't think I want to buy. We're only going to be here 3 years. I don't want to buy. And he's like, I think we should buy. And so we kind of sat down and I walked through the options of the two, because not everybody needs to buy. There are some people that need to just rent. I had a young pilot that came to me and said, hey, I'm only going to be here, 12 months. Now, you probably don't need to buy. You probably need to rent. Unless you want to buy and use it as a rental. That's cool. But you probably don't. But this other couple came in and we sat down, walked through everything, and they said, okay, you know what? I think we will buy. And I'm so happy for them because now we're under contract to sell because they got orders up to Bob Beach. And they're going to be walking away with 6 figures. I can't really give you the complete details. But after all said and done, they're walking away with 6 figures in their pocket. She told me, she called thanking me so much because, again, she wanted to rent. But now they're going to not only have this sold, but they got a great down payment for the house up there. Plus, they said they're paying off all their debt. So it was a great move. So, is it a good time to sell? Yes, absolutely, it's a good time to sell. Is it a good time to buy? You're going to have some patience. You're going to have some patience and be prepared. If you can get the contracts, if you can win, then yeah, I still think, like I said, I'm still putting money where my mouth is. I'm still buying property myself. So I still think that as you buy things now, you're fine. You're going to be fine. Real estate's going to be fine there. But sell, yeah, if you're even kicking around the idea, just call me. Let's chat. So there's our numbers. I always end the show talking about our instant offer program. I'll make this real quick. If you haven't seen the show at all and you don't know anything about the instant offer program, it's basically where we come in and give you an instant offer on the property as is. Don't do anything. We pay all the closing. You pay nothing. You pay whatever you have to pay off for a mortgage, and we pay everything else pretty much. So that's an offer on a house, and a lot of people have been taking advantage of that, especially if they've inherited it or it's had some damage. They just don't have the funds to fix it up, what have you. But we also give you that as an option for a floor. So you got a floor. If our instant offer is your floor, you know, hey, this is the minimum that I'll accept. Sometimes we put it on the market, even with that minimum in place, and I get you more money. And if I can get you more money on the market, you'll just have to be mad at me because I put more money in your pocket. I've yet to have anybody mad at me about that. But, that is an option. So, instant offer program, there's actually a link below so you can check that out and we can go from there. All right. Well, that's our show for the week. Thanks for watching. Have a good week. I'm a man on a mission. My mission is to help people break through all the noise out there and don't need no permission. I want to help you get to actual truth. Don't you just want the truth?